The Bahamas.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me. Much appreciated. So I am calling today's show what's new, what's now, and what's next. What's new, what's now, and what's next. And we're going to be talking about the way forward for our country as it relates to national development, as it relates to our economy, as it relates to us being able to maintain a place in this ever-changing world. We know that it's only been about 8 months or so since the Davis administration was given a resounding approval from the electorate of the country to govern us and take us forward. But we know history in recent times has shown that if you don't do what you need to do, you're going after the first term. And so in many ways, it seems that the Davis administration has come out of the block swinging. I've heard several people say that, they're off to a good start. And if they continue this momentum throughout their term, they could be looking at a second term in office, which hasn't happened in quite some time in this country. But there are some who are saying that while the Davis administration seems to be doing a good job of fixing past problems, they are lacking when it comes to revealing future solutions. And so that is what we're going to be talking about this show today. We're going to be talking about the way forward. And like I said, the show is going to be called What's New, What's Now, and What's Next. And joining us on the show today, Jason, I need you to bring in our guest if you haven't done so already. After the forward. And like I said, is a regular here on GPS, known in some circles as a critical thinker, C. Alan Johnson, who is always known to give some good, insightful conversation every time he joins me on the show. And I love having him on because he's make my job easy. He's talked plenty. So, C. Alan Johnson, welcome back to GPS.
Thank you once again for having me. Thank you, Bahamas. And as always, whatever I'm doing, whenever I get this invite, I run and stop whatever I'm doing in the middle of a meeting, no matter what it is. I just tell them I gotta go. I gotta be home for at least 1 minute after 2.
I hear that. Well, I enjoy having you on because I know you make my job dead easy. You know, some of the people I got to work dead hard to find all kind of video and things. Not with you. You could talk straight through for 2 hours. So, so we got a lot of ground to cover, though. Talking about what's new, what's now, and what's next. And like I said in the intro, some people are praising the Davis administration for their first few months in office, their first 8-9 months in office, saying they are off to a good start, doing a good job. And others are saying, okay, all right, I see what you're doing, but what about the plan for going forward? And some are arguing, or some are suggesting that they may be lacking a little in that department. So I know the budget debate has just begun, and everybody's watching to see what is going to be revealed in this budget debate. Whether or not we will see, a concrete plan as it relates to the way forward. But what are your thoughts on this topic, C. Allen? What's new, what's now, and what's next? How would you? And I guess we sort of touched on this in a show previous that you were on, talking about creating the Davis administration thus far. But how do you think they're faring? And do you think they are going far enough, or have revealed to us their plan as it relates to what's next, taking us forward?
Well, on the what's now, we know what's now because they are still continuing the argument that they are cleaning up the previous administration's mess, and I would assume they mean it previous administrations, because government is continuous.
Because we're talking compounded messes.
Yes, compounded messes, and we'll touch on that because again, like you say, what's now, what's new, and what's next. So the what's now has been going on for 9 months. The 23rd of this month will make 40 weeks. And you know what 40 weeks mean for you women.
That's time to push.
And so they're coming very close to that time to begin to do some pushing. So we're going to have to see some deliveries. And so, for me, there's a biblical saying, and Mr. Davis started out this debate, and I was excited. I was the key word there was I was extremely excited by his budget communications.
Okay.
I got strengthened by the fact that the opposition seemingly is prepared to push and make them be held accountable. And so he came out punching. He came out laying out a wonderful blueprint. Verbal blueprint for the direction we're going to go, at least for the next year. I can tell you, though, I've been listening to the supporting characters. You remember, the leadership is only as good as his supporting leaders.
Right.
And I've somewhat beginning to feel a little lukewarm in the support system that they have in place, because it's been more about looking back as opposed to building forward, that Mr. Davis announced and pronounced in his speech. So it's more of the blame game. It's not my fault. And 9 months is sufficient time. 8 months is sufficient time to be brought up to date in any ministry that you go in. Remember, we have replaced the ministers and parliamentary secretaries or whatever in these in ministries.
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean that the institutional knowledge has to have been in those ministries already. They're not searching for no new information. Mm-hmm. They're simply taking the position that they're going to try to find out now, how do the current situation fits into our ambition for these new policies and programs we're going to put in place, and whatever new legislation that we would have to develop. And so 8 months, there's absolutely, any minister or appointment that is still fiddling around in the position that they're trying to find their way is incompetent at best.
But see, Alan, in all fairness, though, I could see somebody saying, yes, we want to move forward. We have to move forward. But unless we strengthen the foundation, unless we fix the cracks in this foundation that are causing it to be shaky, we could build all we want for the future. But if you don't have that firm foundation, you're in trouble. So maybe that's the approach, that they have to fix the cracks first before they move forward. What would you say to that argument?
I'm saying they're doing an excellent job of buying buckets rather than roofing supplies.
Wait, say that again. Hold on, say that again.
They're doing an excellent job at buying buckets as opposed to roofing supplies, felts and shingles and plywood and whatever else to be done. because one of the things that we don't do is we don't do full assessment. And I love that's a wonderful question you asked. Let's ask a question. I'll guarantee you, if we pick up the phone and call any minister or anybody appointed, not a single one of them could competently tell you where they are in their ministry or where they will be going.
Are you sure about that?
No, because they have not expressed it. Here's the beauty. It's a 3-point system. And if you're talking about running a country here, not even this, we're talking about from a corporate standpoint, as a person that deal with corporate restructuring and digitization of businesses. These are things that I encounter on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
You must always know 3 points: where you are, and where you're going. You must know where the most important aspect of the 3 of those is to know where you are almost instantaneously. And so that briefing does not take months. Okay, most of the people who are running these so-called ministries have been there for decades. Only the minister, only the newly elected people is there. So they just have to be brought up to speed. So here it is, we're approaching 9 months later, 40 weeks later, that if you are not up to speed, then when will you be, considering that you have a limited amount of time, a 5-year term, to put in, technically 4 if you take the last year of campaigning, to put in place the programs and the policies that is necessary, as well as create the legislation for the change you need. So absolutely, they should know where they are right now.
So why do you think we're not hearing this? Do you think it could be a matter of strategy? Because, I've heard politicians talk about how, you can't do everything in the first year because you got to stretch it out over 5 years. You got to think in terms of the next election cycle. And we know in this country, when it's just before election, all kind of things to start happening.
It's 2 words for that: linguistic contortionism. not even. I don't even go with this linguist contortionist. Now, what do you call those gymnastics where you say lyrical gymnastic? No, that's linguistic contortionism, because again, the country doesn't pause. You came and remember now, these people didn't come and says on the campaign trail. You heard none said, and as soon as we get in, we're going to spend a few months trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And then when we figure out what is going on, we're going to come back to you. No, they said, we understand the circumstances, having been in there before, having learned our lessons. Many of them said, we have learned our lessons. We have done all these things. Okay, now you're coming back to say, we now must assess. Most of them are familiar with almost all of the members of all of the, what you call those people, the PSs and other people that actually runs the programs. They know who they are. These are structures that, this isn't a country where you say the country pauses because you had an election. Just the infrastructure, the data, the information, the records, the processes all continuous. If all of them had dropped dead, except for policy, the country still would have ran. So they said they were ready, essentially, verbally or otherwise.
Alan, come on now. We know that Mouth could say anything, especially when you're on the campaign trail. Carl Bettel actually said out of his own mouth, a lot of things are said on the campaign trail. So we know that's the game. You say what you need to say in order to get the votes. Now, we know that's the game. Come on now.
Right. But see, they're talking to a minority of individuals, not the majority of Bahamians. You can't convince me that the majority of Bahamians is that are intellectually disconnected from the reality of our existence, right? So most of the time they talking to everyone else, and so he may have made that statement trying to convince us otherwise. I don't believe it. But again, how many people we elected? We elected 39 individuals. How many people is running government? Well, approximately 40,000 individuals is running government and government agencies and institutions right now as we speak. We didn't elect 40,000 of them. These people are institutionalized, pension and permanent and pensionable, whatever contractual basis, whatever they have. So the question then becomes, if they don't know the structure or where we are and what needs to be done, except for slight policy changes, then we are in really worse shape than as being told. But going back to what you said about this whole concept of this of being prepared, the 3 points I make. The 1 point was knowing where you are, and I think I used this analogy before, where I simply say, pick up the telephone, call a travel agent, and tell them, "Hey, I would love to leave New Providence." And they say, "Where would you like to go?" You say, "I don't know." No ticket. Call another travel agent and say, "This time I'd love to see the Eiffel Tower." And they say, "Well, where would you like to leave from?" You say, "I don't know." See, so that point of knowing where you are and where you want to go is absolutely important in governance. So, and essentially, they came in saying they knew where we wanted to go. They have more than sufficient time to have assessed where we are. The only point in knowing where you came from is to measure the level of success or progress that you have made in moving forward. And if you want to move forward, you can even stand still. That's enough just to show you time will not care about what you do. And so we have to begin to start rejecting these excuses they give us about their level of incompetence because they believe this or that. We need to know where we are and where we want to go. And this is where the disappointment comes in for me, is that we have okay, let me hold a second. People just bear with us a moment. We're having some slight technical problems. I am left in the show, so I'm going to keep talking, just verifying some things. Just one moment for me, guys. People just bear with us a moment. We're having some slight technical problems. Okay, well, I'm going to explain that part of it, and hopefully we'll reconnect to the studio right now. So going back to what I was saying, you only miss about a minute, Michelle. So
we are your auto superstore for rims, Pitani, Azara, Trueform, Weston, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rock Racing, Velocity.
Okay, well, going back to explaining, you know where you are.
All right. Welcome back. Make sure my microphone is. Come back to GPS. I apologize for that break. We lost internet connection there for a minute and had to reboot everything and to get back on. So my guest today is C. Alan Johnson. We are talking what's now, what's new, what's next as it relates to the development of our nation and growth of our economy, etc. And C. Alan, you were smack in the middle of a thought when we got disconnected. So go ahead and jump back in.
Back in that thought is this. Here's the point we have is this. At any given time, an administration must know exactly where they are, where they want to go, and where we have been. Now, the historical records exist as to where we have been. So essentially, the government should have known exactly where we want to go. And that's the whole thing they brag about, this blueprint for change, this economic plan by the Progressive Liberal Party. So essentially, they knew or should have known exactly where we want to go. So I'm simply saying is for the last 8 months, they should have assessed exactly where we were. And so this whole budget, and they made this point in the midterm budget, this budget should have brought us in queue to begin the process. They said with their new budget as to where we're going to go. Mr. Brave Davis did an excellent job of laying out kind of like a skeletal for what he consider this new budget for at least for the next year. But like I said, for me, I've been a little bit concerned about the lukewarm contributions coming from the various ministers that I've heard so far in regards to their ministries or the charge for which they've been given. I've heard a lot of some more of the looking back as opposed to building forward. I've heard no details, like we say, what's new, what's now, what's new, and what's next. I heard a lot of the repeating what was said on the campaign trail, what was said in the blueprint for change, but we've had very little house or who will be involved with it. The processes. It's more of the ministers or those people with responsibility giving praise to the prime minister for leading them to this promised land of political office, as opposed to this is the responsibility I've been giving. This is what I will be doing in details. I heard a lot of talk about digitization. I've heard at least two individuals that I assume is going to be responsible for leading the digitization. I was not impressed at all. Personally, from a real digitization process that is absolutely needed in our country, I have moved that to 2026. Now,
Wow.
yeah, and unless something major happens, I've moved that to 2026 because, let's go back to the early 2000 in the PLP administration under Perry Christie Foot's administration. We had somebody came to come with this technology called Pegasus Wireless. On day one, I said to them, "It's BS. This company will be dead in less than a year." Nobody believed me. I'm a negative person, whatever. Guess what? Pegasus Wireless blew up in our face to find out that McNabb or whatever his name was, nothing but a big fraud. And each subsequent time a digital announcement is made, I am a farmer in the future in this digital landscape. I know what will grow in this environment. And so the same thing happened when they brought GBIC to here. I said, if this company lasts 6 months, I'd make a donation to a charity of anybody choice for $10,000 each. The company lasts 5 months. The other two announcements they made, I said they will never open. They won't even catch root. And remember that GBIC came in with millions of dollars. And for almost a year or longer, we had to fiscally support them by giving them a contract. And my understanding is as much as $50,000 a month to keep them alive after they came here, trying to supposedly be helping us. And so what I'm saying is that when I listen to the person who's going to be tilling the ground and preparing the ground, and when they're talking off-the-shelf software and these type of different things, that's what companies and individuals talk about. Countries talk about building ecosystems and the skeletons and whatever else that is needed for these ecosystems. Something that we have not talked about when we talk about the blue economy, the green economy, the orange economy, the circular economy, the silver economy, the knowledge economy, the conceptual economy, the aquamarine economy. They love these things. And then when somebody challenged them, oh, what is the orange economy? What is it, the creative? Is this, and this? You're describing the thing. You're not telling us how it will be built. What is the infrastructure? What is the skeleton that's going to be made for individuals to implant themselves into this? Listen to this carefully. I hear about we're going to have millionaires and billionaires and everything. And one of the most disingenuous things we do to individuals, right, is we begin to tell them things like, do coding, because all these people made millions of dollars. I've heard them say Google started in the garage. I've heard them say Facebook started in the college dorm. I've heard them, give all these different examples in the garage. The problem is they don't tell these kids that they don't have garages. And so the point is that it's just not in context. And so, it's almost as though when parents tell their children, go be a doctor or a lawyer, you're going to make lots of money. And yes, you could make lots of money in a comfortable living, You have people telling them, oh, plumbers and electricians, whatever, make more than doctors and lawyers. That is not a 100% true statement. We say to them, do coding, you'll make money. Now, let me break that down just a little for you. Just bear with me, Michelle, on this. A doctor can make a tremendous amount of money if he moves into a business or clinic or type environment that he owns, that he builds and develops. But if he's being paid a salary, unless he's in some deep specialty, he's not going to have the significant wealth that we tell them. The same thing with an accountant. You will have a job just like anyone else. Will just be that you look prettier. You'll be a prettier mannequin in the mall. You're going to tell someone, oh, just develop a coding and just develop blind coding, and you'll now be a coder in the, you know, all these people are making millions and millions and millions in coding. And you go, really? Okay, good. India got almost 100 million coders. I guess they're all millionaires and billionaires. And those coders are far superior to anything we could develop currently in the immediate. And so what I'm simply saying is that we have to be contextually correct when we try to sell this hope to our individuals that just do this, it's going to happen. It's building infrastructure. So when we sell a person for coding, we have to say, you have to build something. You have to come up with something unique, nascent, something that is in the world doesn't have, that people will buy into and you could get funding for, and you will develop a company, etc., that's built on it. You know, and none of those people that start in the garage build those companies by themselves. Right. And so when the same thing when you say with a doctor, if you could tell your children to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant, let them understand that is only the first step. And these are the processes in the back that you have to do. You have to develop a clinic. You have to develop an office. You have to develop a technology business, not a job, not as an individual. And so, and the point I'm making in this is that as government begin to talk about these various different variations of these economic models, no one is talking to the infrastructure that people have to get prepared for. You hear a lot of get prepared, especially in Grand Bahama. The hotel is coming, you need to get yourself prepared. The tourism industry is opening up, you need to get yourself prepared. The cruise port is coming, you need to get yourself prepared. We have $1 billion investment, get yourself prepared. No one is telling anyone at one time what to get prepared for, when that preparedness will be needed, and how to equip yourself to insert or integrate yourself into those systems. We're not having those type of conversation. That is the type of talk I expected at least to have the skeleton of these economic models we throw around so loosely. How are we going to do these things? You know, and we're not getting those. So essentially, we have potential, we have possibilities, but from what I'm hearing, our probabilities are very low.
And that's an interesting point. We need to take a break though, so stick a pin in that, and let's expand on that on the other side of the break. But let's take this quick break so that my sponsors can get their props. And when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation with C. Alan Johnson. We're talking what's now, what's new, what's next, as it relates to the development and growth of the Bahamas. Are we getting the kind of leadership and direction that we need to know the way forward? Or do we have to, try to feel our way through? We'll talk about it on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, along with my guest today, the critical thinker, C. Alan Johnson. We're talking about what's now, what's new, what's next, as it relates to the development and growth of the Bahamas. The telephone numbers to call if you'd like to jump in on the conversation, 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272, 326-0272, or a WhatsApp line to send us a message, not call, send a message, 824-9952, 824-9952. Now, got a lot of comments on Facebook that we're going to get to, but you said something in the last segment of the show about how, in your opinion, it seems as if these ministers are busy thanking the prime minister for getting them to the promised land as opposed to revealing the way forward. Now, here's the thing. When you look at the Bible story, the biblical story of the exodus of the children of Israel and the whole time through the wilderness, and eventually a whole generation passes, and then they get to go into this promised land that they've been hearing about for so long, 40 years. So they get to the promised land. But now here's something that people often miss. The moment they set foot in the promised land, the manna stopped.
Yeah.
I can say that again. The minute they step foot in the promised land, the manna stopped. In other words, I can take you to the promised land, but you got to wait when you get there. You got to fight for that promised land. It ain't just, the people there ain't gonna just say, well, we figured y'all was going to come, so we can just lay down and y'all could just take it. No, they had to fight for that. Now, God was with them in the fight, but the manna stopped. So, we like to talk about, Penling was our Moses, and, some say Ingram was Joshua and all this kind of stuff. And, we trying to get to this promised land. But I hope people understand that when you get to that promised land, ain't no manna falling from heaven no more.
It requires work.
You have to be responsible for your development and growth and future.
Which is work. And this is where, but again, the government is not, and I heard a couple of them mention these wonderful, they use the word even ecosystems, right? And ecosystems are actually processes. The earth is an ecosystem. And you know the beauty about the earth, right? The ecosystem tells you how the ocean and the sky and the land and everything works in unison with each other, and it has a cause and effect. We're seeing this argument now being made about climate change and global warming. That is what an ecosystem is. It's an environment that exists in harmony. We are not being told these business ecosystems that has been promised in this blueprint for change. And I'm saying that in 9 months, even if the individuals who were not elected knew the answers, by now they should have surrounded them with individuals that do. I mean, if you look at the budget, I think there's 50, 60, $75 million for consultants in the office of the prime minister. So there seemingly is no lack of resources to make sure that competent individuals is surrounded around these ministers that can tell them, based on the environment you're in, this is how it's going to work. But let's use an example. When you talk about the ocean economy that the prime minister is focusing on, which is accumulation of the kind of like the blue that overlap into the green economy. And I mean, it could be better viewed as the aquamarine economy by Eden Mary, where you have these, because you can have digital and technology absolutely involved in it, is that you must now tell me, as you talk about the ocean economy, tell me how the Ministry of Transport plays a role in this.
Okay,
Tell
so
me how.
stick a pin in that because we have a caller on the line, and I don't want to lose the caller.
Right.
Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good day, Lady Malcolm and Alan.
How are you?
Good day, how you doing?
I am all right, but a little confused because, Alan always brings wonderful, wonderful, top-notch advice to the talk shows, right? But what we didn't pass that now with this country, man. What we need to do is we need to turn this house upside down, take the roof off, and completely spring clean this place, because all them wonderful ideas and stuff, we ain't getting nowhere because we know what the problems are in this kind of myriad of problems. It ain't make no sense. They're sitting there every day and, such wonderful ideas and the way forward, and he ain't doing nothing.
Don't hang up yet. You're saying we're not doing anything. If I hire someone to cut my lawn, I don't say, let me go outside and do it for him. What we do, though, is we go outside, and the word is we, because I did not elect this government alone. And so if you think there's an idea is viable, then you should go and put pressure on the government or the minister to ask him to embrace the idea or to discount the idea as not being viable. And so I'm simply saying that governance requires participation. The problem we have is the non-participatory aspect of governance. We'll say, Seattle has a wonderful idea, Craig has a wonderful idea. But then you'll just absorb the ideas, see the person you hired to do the work not doing it or devoid of ideas, and you won't even take the ideas that's been proper to you to say, hey, challenge them to say, why don't you answer Seattle? Why don't you answer Craig? Why don't you answer Keith? And simply set them aside, because you answer the
Alan.
Yes.
I can let you finish in a little bit, Alan, because you got this right on my cell phone. But that's everything you're saying is the problem. That's the problem. The fellas we put there, he ain't doing nothing. They ain't checking for that. Now, Lady Malcolm, you said something a little earlier. I just called you for a little point. I stand on a point of correction. Something you said. You say that there ain't no country in the world could just sit down and let people take the country from us.
Except the Bahamas.
You must don't know the Bahamas. Because with Malcolm, these people ain't doing nothing. They let everybody yesterday take the country. Anyway, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. You remember what Penland said? If you ain't willing to fight for it, you ain't deserve to have it.
But it's a point. What we have done is post-Penland era, we have socialized this country to one of dependency. And we cry innovation, we cry transformation, and we cry all these things, but we have not done anything to cause these things to happen. We have become a country of promises. Hope is the new dope. It's an expression that I would say it is. And essentially what they've done is they're simply saying, oh, no problem, just hope something change. And we've done that for almost 25 years plus since Sicily and Finland. What we are right now as we approach the 50th year, the year of Jubilee, is we need an actionable plan. And the way that happens now is for Bahamians to realize individually and collectively that the methods we have used in the past no longer works. And this is why when you had Mr. Brave Davis leading his group of team, made some promises that they had the ability to look into the future and see the direction that the world is going. And they would then be the individuals, the conductors, to take us along on this trip into this new interconnected, rapidly changing digital global economy to rebuild, revive, they say, or revolutionize, whatever it is they say, the economy. We've had talk about that so far. We have not had any actual set. I mean, technically, they have compounded the conversation about what is possible. They just haven't told us how. And that's essentially of telling us, you know, we could win this lottery and you hype the people up, but you never buy the ticket.
I want to read one of the comments from one of our Facebook audience members. Facebook user says, it's unfortunate we think it's the government who will save the Bahamas. This is the biggest misconception. Bahamians, it's us we wait for. Please. How do you respond to that?
They're absolutely correct. But see, the mistake they made is they separated government from us. We are government. So they have the narrative correct, but they've somehow separated the half of it. We are government. They have convinced us that government is separate from us. And I say to people all the time, we don't give government power. They've convinced us that we have. We give government the authority to act on the power we possess. And we don't have to wait for 5 years to take it back. If you hold each one of your members of parliament accountable, if 20 constituencies was to go out there and hold their individual member of parliament responsible, and those 20 constituencies happen to be in sync for the same thing, you've gotten the government you deserve, not the one you're waiting for. And so the problem is that we vote and then go sit down and complain about the nails. Let me go back with a nail story. As a young man, my father told me about a dog. He's the pastor's house all the time. The old man and the dog was sitting on the porch. And the dog used to be hollering, "Ow, ow." And my old man, he asked him, why is that dog making noise? He said, he's sitting on the nail. So my dad said, when the old man was asked, why don't you take the dog off the nail? The old man says, no worry. Whenever he gets tired of the pain, he gets up himself. When we get tired of the pain of the nail, we would need to get up and do something about it. And I'm saying that if we don't do something now, in spite of me saying that, you know, I consider this a digital wash. I didn't say it's a country wash. I am saying it's a digital wash because the things that I heard individuals talk about is yesterday. We should be building tomorrow from a digital standpoint. And so if they are gone, and I can only assume that these individuals have came in and they went into a strong man house and the strong man beat them and tied them up and have them repeating them. Who's the strong man? The civil service. Because clearly these were not the ideas they went into the civil service house with. And so again, we have the civil service leading the leadership that they're taking the advice of civil service. I honestly believe, I love my civil servants. I really believe if they knew what to do, they would have done it. I really do. They simply do not know. I can't believe that collectively 40,000 individuals have simply refused to do what they know what to do.
Well, I think the problem. I don't think the problem is that they so much don't know what to do. I just think that it is comfortable the way it is now. And when you're talking about doing things differently, sometimes that causes me to have to shift out of my comfort zone, or in the event that I am doing something that I should not be doing, like for instance, there's been this resistance to digitalization because in many ways, digitalization will help to cut down on malfeasance, cut down on corruption, cut down on inefficiency. So I don't want that to happen because that can cause a problem for me. So it's not that I don't know any better. It's just that I'm very comfortable right now where I am. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, stagnation will lead to our economic debt because I'm going to say to the civil servants, when the jackals come into the civil service, they're already in the country. You know what they say? The jackals, they see an injured animal, they come into the vicinity and begin to prepare. The jackals even test the strength of the animals before they attack. The jackals are here. Our economy is suffering from stagflation. And that was stagflation, inflation, and minimal growth. Not sufficient to carry us. We have not had sufficient growth to carry this economy for at least 2 decades. Except now, the world is accelerating. The World Bank and other people have begun to downgrade the storyline that has been given to us concerning growth. They seem people that grades us have basically somewhat said that the growth trajectory projected by the government is fantasy. And I think it's not fantasy in the fact that it can be achieved. I think they are watching and observing its fantasy in who is trying to achieve it. And that's very important because what happens is, trust me, they know the power of digitization. They know the power of diversification of the economy further into hospitality and tourism. They know the diversity of economy potential that we have. They do. We may not know as much as they do. Now, so essentially, they're like me, extremely excited when the announcements was made, and then beginning to listen and watch the action, and you say, well, it was a promise made, but based on competency and capabilities, this may not be a promise that could be kept. And that's what they're beginning to grade us on, not what we say, on what we do to move towards execution of these things. If for those individuals like myself that's involved in technology and digitization, like I tell people all the time, and I said it today. Today is the tomorrow I told you about yesterday. Let me repeat that. Today is the tomorrow I told you about yesterday. And so in essence, we must now build a new tomorrow. So what I told you about, the tomorrow I told you about yesterday is the now. And we must now look as to what's new and build towards that now, because the now we are too late in preparing for that. And so again, let's look at the orange economy. It's beyond the creative. The orange economy is actually the lives we live, how we influence it from a creative standpoint. It is an integration of the knowledge economy, the conceptual economy, and now the digital economy. And so it is more than just saying it's where creativity replaces the economic model that you use to the point that all other things are outsourced, and you build the future. And that's where the value is being built. We look at Facebook. Facebook was not a physical location. Neither was Amazon. Neither was Airbnb or any of these different things. But when we hear leadership talk about these things, they talk about it as if it was a storefront. These are digital processes. These are digital ecosystems that is being built. What I mean, I want you to pay attention to the word ecosystems. Notice that within Facebook becoming an ecosystem, you have people living their lives, running their stores, running their businesses, getting medical advice, all of these things from Google, from Facebook, and from Amazon. Look at the lives, the multiple facets of how this business runs. These are not singular things. These are living organisms, and that's what an ecosystem is. And so when you hear the government say, oh, the orange economy, the orange, what do they mean? oh, the blue economy, what do you mean? When you say, oh, the green economy, what do you mean? Oh, when you say the digital economy, are you talking about the localized digital economy, or are you talking about the global digital economy? The conceptual economy, what exactly do you mean by the conceptual economy? What do you mean by the knowledge economy? How do we build the infrastructure? Because remember, these are not individuals. You're building an infrastructure in each of these economic models for individuals to grow, to plant themselves, grow, and thrive. And so when you say, oh, the silver economy, what is the silver economy? The silver economies are for retirees, where they basically capitalize on the knowledge and the digital economy using the skills and experiences they have developed over the years. We have a good practice of throwing away individuals when they now have deposited into them billions of dollars of information that they just have never been taught on how to exploit it. So when you say we're going to develop a silver economy, you're basically saying we're going to put in place the infrastructure, processes, programs, and legislation for you as a retiree to exploit your life experiences, whether it's in the orange economy, blue economy, green economy, aquamarine economy, digital economy, knowledge economy, conceptual economy, or whatever it is that you are. But we're going to put in place all the tools and all to create the environment for you to exploit this, whether you are an educator, whether you are a doctor, a plumber, literally speaking, you're talking about even disabled people who are without their sight, who have learned to use technology. And so this silver economy has more than just a word to mean something. And so when we talk about the blue economy, we need somebody to break it down, the 19 processes, the 19 sub-industry type environments that I know about in the blue economy. How do we break it down so those individuals can begin to say, oh, that is one for me. This is one for me. Just let me make another point. Michelle.
Wait, no, hold that point because we got to take a break. So let's go to this commercial break. When we come back, we'll jump on right onto that point. So make sure you take a note of it, keep it in your mind mentally so that we can go straight there when we get back from the commercial break. Stay with us. This is GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. We will be back after these words from our sponsors.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting sugar-free berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Less is love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with my guest today, C. Alan Johnson. We're talking about what's now, what's new, and what's next as it relates to the development of our nation and our economic growth. The telephone numbers to call if you want to become a part of the conversation: 3260271. 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, or our WhatsApp line is 824-9952, 824-9952. We would love to hear from you. Now, prior to the break, C. Allen, you had started to make a point, and we had to sort of interrupt that idea. So go ahead and take it away.
Okay, let's go to this blue carbon economy that the Prime Minister is talking about. A wonderful idea when you look at it from its totality. As it stands right now, this will eventually become a $1 trillion a year economy. And by 2050, it'll be $100 trillion economy. Tremendous growth, virgin territory. In doing so, though, the Prime Minister, this government has made a quick run towards the finish line, and have made some fatal but correctable errors in doing so. I know for sure that is a number of NGOs who is involved in the ocean economy, green economy, blue economy, or the aquamarine economy, as it's said, that is now being stymied, delayed, inhibited from actually doing so. And so we need to work to solve that, such as getting permits to do the environment. But one of the greatest mistakes that I think that has been done hastily, I guess, I would love to believe that it was done as a protection regime that is going to come back and be modified. And that is the passing of that environmental bill. What it did, that they call for the carbon credits, what it did, it took ownership of all known, unknown, seen, and unseen carbon credits that exist in the Bahamas. It gave it to give the rights of that to the sovereign. Well, where's that bad? Oh, it should all go to the Bahamian people. Absolutely. But what it does, though, it chokes innovation. It chokes involvement. It chokes the inflow of capital that is needed to build on these things. And what do I mean by that? What is the whole world fighting? The world is fighting to offset carbon. Is fighting to reduce carbon usage, carbon footprint, and all of these things that I've been talking about for 2 decades. But what have they done? They're saying that C. Alan Johnson, if you take the $10 million funding that has been pledged to you and you bring it into the Bahamas to develop something to solve the carbon problem of the world, to come up with a new carbon offset process, to help develop even the existing degradation, restore or rebuild the degradation of the environment that has happened in the Bahamas, you will then create an environment maybe to create millions of dollars. But we just want you to know that 100% of all revenue from what you generate belongs to the Treasury. You don't get a dime. So you get to go and round up the money, bring it into the country, do all the work, develop the ideas, develop the processes, develop this nascent technology, whatever it is you have. But everything that you produce within the country within this realm, you do not profit from, nor do you have the right to own it. That's madness.
Hmm.
So maybe we can have a conversation from those individuals, and I'm not the only one that understands this whole concept of carbon credits. This is not something new. This is something that myself have been echoing since 2004 when I took the battle to Bahama Rock concerning destruction of the mangroves. This is an argument concerning carbon credits and things for us to use in the mangroves and the seagrass, etc., when we had thousands of acres that was destroyed in Bimini for the sake of the hotel industry. You know, and I could go across the Bahamas with the places that I've argued the same guys.
Now, when you say, hold on now, because I worked in Bimini. When you say thousands destroyed for the hotel industry, are you speaking about when they dredge the harbor? What are you talking about specifically?
Combination. When
Huh?
they dredge the harbor, when they fill
Okay.
in the mangroves, do you know that we had a World Heritage Site, a
Mm-hmm.
World Heritage, meaning it belonged to the world, in Bimini that does not exist anymore, that grew billions of shrimp and other things? It does not exist. We actually allow for the destruction of a World Heritage Site in Bimini.
Well, you know what was the problem, C. Allen? A previous administration sold a portion of that heritage site to a private person. So he was doing what he was doing on his own private property.
No, that's true. That's not true. You can't cut down
It's not?
trees. No, it's not. No, you could buy. You know something? If I sold you an area right now that's considered of vital importance, call it the mangrove. It has mangrove swamp on it, or it
Right.
has thing. First of all, the government can't sell the seabed. Okay, but if you sell these things, or it has a cotton tree on it and certain things, you cannot destroy
You're
them.
supposed to get permission. Right.
Absolutely. That
But
is
in
those.
that instance, something strange happened
No, they would turn
because
a blind eye. They turn a blind eye until the destruction has happened and then give consent. Well, it's already been destroyed. You know, but it could, if buildings and things have not been built on that, I'm saying those things could have maybe not be restored. But there's billions of dollars right now that's available for attempts at restoration. But how do you attempt to restore something that you don't build $1 million building on? So I'm simply saying is though we just can't keep doing what we're doing in this ocean green and blue and aquamarine economy. I'm saying to you, we don't have enough people in the Bahamas to employ in this new industry that easily, just for doing almost nothing, you could make $100,000 a year. And that's a fact. I'm saying we have to be careful if we don't allow if we must allow the blending of these economic models and as they are to be blended with our existing models, because they could cause a disruption and displacement where you say you build over here and tear down over here when you want a blended reality. And so, what I mean by that, if you go into the aquamarine economy where you're combining the knowledge, the digital, the blue, the orange, and the ocean, and you're now wanting to restore mangroves because hurricane has done damages. And so we're screaming, oh, we're going to go collect billions of dollars from these countries, debt forgiveness and all these different things. And so you now must spend billions of dollars in labor for restoration of these type of areas, for rebuilding. So what are you going to do? You have to get people to work. So the NGOs and individuals like myself and others that understand it, or for those who can be trained to be involved in it, can go and begin restoring to protect ourselves from the threat of climate change and global warming, but at the same time incorporate a model of hospitality and tourism around the very $1 trillion industry that's being established. Because we are basically saying we'll go to the promise. Remember the pre-national movement promise, the green, the ecotourism in East Grand Bahama? Well, guess what? We now have an opportunity to build a ecotourism environment around the entire Bahamas. And what do you mean by that? Okay, we talked with the cruise port in Grand Bahama, 300 acres. How much of that is going to be, they say, oh, we're going to reserve 100 of it. What people don't understand is that when you say you're going to reserve 100 acres of 300, you're technically saying you're destroying 200.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a 1 mile or longer canal. They're going to be cutting through the land to do that. What effect would that happen in the marine protected area called Peterson Key? Let's move to Eleuthera, where we say we're going to destroy a pristine environment so we could bring some people on shore so we could make some money selling them trinkets. When if we reimagine the tourism model of this beautiful point, this beautiful location, we could go now and build bed and breakfasts for the same amount of 3,000 people or whatever the cruise ship will bring, for those individuals to fly in to enjoy that very thing that we should be reserving, rather than saying, well, they promised to save this much of it. That's a nice way of saying they'll be destroying the other part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I'm simply saying, so if we preserve all of it, if it's so valuable, especially now in our very existence, in the very model that we wanted to talk about designing, then why are we going to sell for the $20 and $30 from the cruise ship people when the people who are flying in for bed and breakfast are spending $1,000 or $2,000?
Because we want to be able to say that we have offered, thanks to our negotiation techniques, there are now 100 jobs that are going to be, But I want to read a comment from one of our Facebook viewers, and here's the challenge. Well, let me read the comment first, and then I'll say what I want to say in response, and I could let you chime in. It says, Michelle, you're a good host, but enough is enough. You are a solution, yet you are not at the table. That's the issue. Well, here's the thing. We are operating in a Westminster system. And in this system, you don't just rush up to the table and say, I hear. You have to be invited to the table.
And that happens too, Michelle, by the citizens who put the employees there, making the demand that Michelle be included at the table. The problem is your posting has to be converted into action. Let me give you a good action for that. If you want Michelle at the table, go tell 5 of your friends. Yeah, 5 of your friends. 5 of your friends that Michelle should be done, and call your MP. Then have each of them call 5 people. So 5 times 5 is 25, 125, 625, 3125, 15,600 or something like that. So you have the ability to use your influence now to get 5 of your friends to join you and say these individuals should be included as part of it. Now, let me tell you a part of the Westminster system. They keep telling you that you have to be in Parliament to be part of the Westminster system. BS. The Prime Minister, just how you hire consultants, the Prime Minister can have a Secretary of Education, a Secretary of Energy, a Secretary of Technology, a Secretary of Housing, all of these different things that answers directly to him. Now, it does not have to lie exclusively in these so-called ministerial posts. In fact, the Prime Minister can simply create a cabinet of about 7 individuals and bring a dozen secretaries, competent individuals from the private sector, from the diaspora, that actually knows what it is he's trying to achieve, rather than trying to appease those who get elected around him, thinking that they will stand up against you and have a vote of no confidence. How could they have a vote of no confidence in you without the support of the people? And that's the most important thing. We just don't have leadership that appeals to the needs of the people. They appeal to the needs for grandizement or titles and other different things. And we've allowed, through miseducation, the convolution and distortion of how a Westminster system works. The Westminster system is open to do whatever is not prohibited by law. And so if it's prohibited by law, it cannot be done. But if it's not prohibited by law, the Prime Minister can do it. So you have not, because you've made not that demand. And so if you have individuals that does not sit at the table, you will be amazed at how the level of your influence by getting 5 individuals who think like you, who will then go out and marshal towards the change you need. That's just not getting individuals you think is competent and capable at the table, but it's also for bringing about the change that you see within your community. Understand, legislation is not exclusively comes from the Parliament. It's supposed to come from the It is supposed to be drafted and presented in Parliament on behalf of the people, but you have to organize and bring yourself. And let me say one of the most powerful tools you have. You have, in spite of governance, you have a majesty official opposition that has a co-equal power when exercised, because they too have the power of the people. They are not there to oppose. They are government in waiting. And for these alternative parties, not third parties, alternative parties, you too can present yourself as government in waiting, meaning bring the ideas, and if it's capable of being executed, galvanizing the support necessary to have it moved by the people's representative in the House of Assembly, be it a member of Parliament or someone in the leadership of the Majesty official opposition. Her Majesty official opposition can bring bills, can bring everything to Parliament except for money bills, meaning to change the budget or something. But they could bring any other legislation to Parliament. In fact, I would put you they could bring a money bill to Parliament and force the government to adjust it to what they want. It just requires.
I have a comment from Facebook somebody's asking you to respond to. This is from Zenobia. She says, how is the average Bahamian citizen going to benefit from the idea of carbon credits?
Believe it or not, if you look at carbon credits, the government is taking some foreigner advice. Our carbon credits is in the value in the billions of dollars, even for the potential of generating it. If the government looks to you to tax you for the $3 billion they need to run the country, what happens if the government can create a system that carbon credits replaces taxes? Your activity to negate global warming and climate change becomes a revenue stream for you also. And at the same time, you build and prepare the Bahamas for the future. And so the government now has less need to reach into your pocket. We can actually begin to retire the debt. When you start looking for carbon credits, you have to look at it. Do you know the aragonite, as we talk about it, is a form of carbon credit? And I hear the Prime Minister talk about drilling for oil, to find out if oil is there. Technology now exists today that drilling is not necessary. Okay? That is not necessary. It's absolutely, see, these are people talking about old ideas in the 21st century. We have enough resources today to keep us, even until the technology goes down, to explore the possibility of hydrocarbons. We have aragonite it's carbon credits. Mangroves that we have and have to build, the restoration of the seagrass, etc. Getting involved in planting sea grass, kelp, whatever it is, that and a sea moss is part of it. We have enough to offset, removing ourselves from a dependency on the very hydrocarbons that is destroying the world, such as getting away from BPL and its practice of buying bunker fuel and everything else. The cars that we have, I know the taxi drivers and the bus drivers may not like this, but the problem we have, I say they're going to spend $30 million on the road. They want the road so we can produce more carbon dioxide into the air, rather than saying we'll have an e-bus system. We could go right now to Mr. Sean Garat, or whatever his name is, at Easy Cars. And they have buses right now that is totally E. What happens if we put a public transportation system that actually functions, where you can set your clock every 15 minutes in the morning or whatever, go outside and be to work or be wherever you want downtown, with a busing system that works, rather than simply trying to create an environment to put more cars on the road, the very system that we say that's killing us.
But see, Alan, during the lockdowns, the busing community, they were being forced to create that system, right? So they all met at a point, and they dispatched a bus every 15 minutes. This is what they came together and decided to do. After, because of the restrictions, they had to cut down the number of people that they could allow on their bus and this kind of stuff. They came together and started to put a system in place whereby everybody starts from a point, you leave every 15 minutes, and that's exactly how it operates. Guess what? the restrictions are over, they back to trying to run red light and running you off the road because they're trying to beat the next bus.
Right, but this is why, again, we talk about these sovereign entities. The government need to, we say government can't run corporations. I want people to stop that. And you say, because in essentially they can't run a small corporation, they can't run a country. And now, mind you, they're beginning to convince me they can't do those because the way the country's been run. But what you have to do is take BPL, take the airline, take whatever government corporation we have and surrender it to a sovereign trust, to a sovereign wealth fund that government has no control over. We will hire a sovereign asset management company to run them. If we could sell them and they could function, then we could hire a sovereign asset management company without selling it and just pay them salaries and we will own them. But let's say the busing system. We will not prevent anybody from having a taxi plate, but we're going to give you an opportunity to retire your bus, retire whatever. We're going to crush those. We can do whatever we want with those. And you're going to become part of a formal metro transport system, whatever, for busing, where you'll be paid a salary. You have no car repairs. We have no engine repairs because we're getting e-cars, right? We're going to call easy cars, and we're going to get the e-bus system. We're going to have enough of them that you could set your clock. You listen to me. The worst argument you could argue is being late 15 minutes for work, because if you miss your bus, one will be 15 minutes behind. If you miss school,
let me see, Alan. What you are describing is not going to happen in this country because of the amount of money that is being made through the system the way it is now. But here's this: what you describing? I went to university college in the 1980s. I graduated in 84, and what you describing was the existence back then. So I knew if I miss a bus, because my first semester I lived off campus, I knew that if I missed the bus going to school, no problem, the next bus could be here. This was from 1980s. So it ain't like we don't have clear examples of how this can and should be done. But again, there are certain people who are benefiting from the inefficiency.
Right. But this is where the hypocrisy, this is where the world is going to laugh at us when we talk about this blue carbon economy. Because here it is, we're about to build a road. The prime minister is now at a place in California talking about this new carbon blue environment. And his minister of works is announcing that we're going to build wider roads for more cars to pollute the air. And this is where they're going to begin to say, these people are hypocrisy. They're now talking about BPL coming online, and they're going to be able to burn these cheap fuels so we don't have blackouts during the summer. Well, we should be talking about reduction of consumption within homes so that we have to generate less power. And because we also must, listen to me, when we talk about these, let's go through this again. We talk about the blue economy, the green economy, the orange economy, the aquamarine economy, the digital economy, the circular economy, the silver economy, the knowledge economy, the conceptual economy, right? All of these economies, every single one of them runs on energy. Energy. You say you're going to now attract these companies to come here to develop this ecosystems in each of these. They depend 90% on energy. They're paying 3, 4, 5, 6 cents for electricity or energy around the world. They have an efficient system, no blackouts, no brownouts, no any of those different things. So you're going to invite them to come to the Bahamas to pay 45, 50 cents per kilowatt, when they're paying less than 5 cents someplace else. So here's this company you're inviting to the Bahamas that has a $3 million a month light bill. You say to them, well, you come to the Bahamas, we're going to have this great ecosystem, and your light bill will only be $25 million a month now. From, of course, you're paying $3 million now. It's madness. Okay? So this thing about developing these economic models in this ecosystem is BS. Because until we fix energy, some little low-hanging fruits, it's all talk.
Who is benefiting from us not fixing energy? And could that be the key as to why it's not being fixed?
Yes. It's a family, friends, lovers, financiers, and foreigners. Okay? But yes, it is. There's still more of us than there is of them. And so the us, it doesn't say me, it didn't say you, it said us, we, collective. Until we decide that we no longer like the pain from the nail we're sitting on, nothing will change. But I can put to you, I said I'm going to look forward to the next administration. I'm saying we may not have that time. The world has moved forward 1 year every 3 months since COVID in technology. We are now 8 to 10 years into the future technological wise, and we can't provide electricity inexpensively to the devices in our hand. Can you imagine? We can't charge the thousands of new devices that Alive and BTC and Cable Bahamas will sell. Those things plug into the grid. No matter if you even say, well, I plug mine into my car, you must turn on your car to generate the alternator, and that's the carbon to do it. So and you're still paying the same price. So we are a carbon-based economy, and we must come up with a strategy to accelerate away from this carbon-based environment. The very thing that we're running around the world, said we want to be leaders in the world in the ocean economy and the green and blue economy and the aquamarine economy. And we are saying, but we're going to buy more carbon producing products. We're going to embrace more carbon producing processes. We are in an area that generates 1,600% of the radiant heat there is. It costs $300 million to put the solar system on New Providence. And that's without utilizing the microgrid system or the rooftops in the Bahamas. Just simply going to South Beach, putting solar over water. What if we can reduce the amount of solar by using some wind? We are in the Gulf Stream, so there's no such thing as inadequate wind energy. Like you say, though, but it requires a disruption of the economy and surrendering of the power of economy to the people. The very
And that, my friend, is why it's not going to change. Surrendering the power. These people will slap their ma to hold on to that power.
But again,
they ain't just lay down and let that go.
But see, if you look at the promises for God, for many of you that's underemployed or unemployed, it's time for you to realize promises is a comfort to a fool. When they don't tell you, see, if they say, it says, when a person makes you a promise, you must answer 2 questions. First question, is the person capable of keeping the promise? Then you say, okay, good. The second question, though, is intent. Do they intend? If the person making the promise does not possess both the capability and the intent, they just called you a fool. And that's what we have to do. We have to stop allowing ourselves to be called fools. Now, here's a beauty with that. If the person possesses the ability and not the intent, us as a collective can force them to do it. That's the power of collective, the power of force. And so we do have the intent. We have the ability within the country, but we have to now decide we really want it.
We have to take a break. So just stick a pin in the thought. Let's go to our final break of the show because we got to pay our bills, y'all. And we do that by having sponsors. Speaking of which, if you would like to sponsor GPS, if you enjoy the show, if you're a business owner or you provide a service and you want to be a part of the show, we are all open for you. We're welcoming you. You can call 3260271 or 3260272. We will connect you to the relevant person who can set you up. The rates are really very competitive, so definitely give us a call if you'd like to see you on air. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors, and then we're going to look at the Bahamian economy and what we need to do to breathe some life back into it. You're watching GPS.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome. which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim fix and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. We are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with my guest today, C. Alan Johnson. We're talking what's now, what's new, what's next, as it relates to the development and economic growth of our country. I want to tell you a quick story. A friend of mine reached out to me about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and she sent me this message on WhatsApp, and she said, first and foremost, I just want to, thank God for his mercies. Before I say what I'm about to say, I want to let you know I'm okay. But I was robbed today. It's like, what? I said, yeah, I was robbed while I was at the gas station, and I'm still shaken up, but thank God I'm okay. So what happened? She says, well, they called the police, and the police came quickly, and the police asked me whether or not I was able to give them any kind of description of the culprit. She said, and I was, and I told them, yeah, it's pump number 5. I was like, girl, you're so stupid, because she had me going there for a while. But truth be told, we are living, we're living in a world where there's some things that are beyond our control, like what is happening around the world within the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the upheaval that is causing, and the upheaval that COVID has caused, and all the other madness that's going on around the world that impacts us even here in the Bahamas. So there are some things that are not under our control that are impacting our economy. However, do you think that in spite of all of that, we could be doing a far better job at creating systems and opportunities that can generate healthier growth for our economy? What are we not doing that we should be doing?
Thinking. Thinking. One word, the greatest word that ever exists, imagination. It's impossible to see that which don't exist, or you'll be greater than God. So the problem is that we're not using imagination to move innovation. Everything that we are facing today is because we're so used of the blame game. Well, America is experiencing this, and we love to move the goalposts. You tell a person that America is doing good, they say, but have you heard of a country called Tahiti? Or have you heard about this other little country called boo, 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 whatever? They're doing bad, so we must be doing bad too. So we're good at moving those goalposts rather than dealing with actual applicable solutions. Here's what you do. We said, my mom, as young people, told us there's no such thing as a problem as an unapplied solution, meaning that there's a solution. We have maybe chose not to apply the solution that is necessary for it. We talk about food security and food, but again, let me say this thing. We must first be able to define the problem we have. You can't apply the solution to an undefined problem. Now, we talk about food security and food sovereignty. Okay, we live in one of the greatest fishery reserve in the world. So we don't lack meat or subsistence, fish and lobster and conch and whatever else. We have this concept of what food security is. It means that the things we see in the food store, rather than the subsistence to maintain a healthy life during the period of stress and whatever else. And so we have yet to address this concept called food security. I've heard ministers for decades talk about this food security, and they have food security confused with food sovereignty. Food security is being able to feed your nation for 6 months, 1 year, or 18 months. That's the food security strategy that I've yet to hear. Food sovereignty is being able to produce the things you need for food security. That's BAMSI. So we must look at what is it that we need. We need rice, we need potatoes, we need grits, we need corn, maybe peanut butter. All of these different things in period of crisis is we need. I know we're looking for some comfort, and you said, potato chips are not on there, and my Coke soda is not on there, and all these different things. No, those are not food security. Those are comfort environment. And so we have to have a strategy on feeding a nation. So that we failed during COVID to provide food, even food security, with $54 million spent. We went to the store and gave people monies and bags of stuff. Some of them we've destroyed some people's health with the noodles and the corned beef and all these different things.
Don't get me started on that.
Right. And so again, we have seemingly no strategy to resolve anything or build anything. One of your people asked earlier concerning carbon credits. Carbon credits, when we hear people talk about our natural resources is carbon credits. And many of those resources produces carbon credits. And so let me tell people, this fantasy about getting money sent to you and give to you is a fantasy. And if you have a leader telling you that, bring them on Michelle Malcolm show and let's have a talk about it. It's a fantasy. Wake up.
I want to read a comment from one of our Facebook viewers. This comment says, we need to focus on family island infrastructure development. It's a lot of money in that. Are we still too NASA centric? And this is why we're not seeing the type of a development that we should be seeing in our country, because we're still so focused on New Providence?
That NASA-centric development is deliberate. It's the same power struggle we talk about. Grand Bahama has an infrastructure to hold 250,000 people 50 years ago. That's before vertical billing. Singapore, we talk about Grand Bahama now. Let's talk about Freeport. Singapore is 30 square miles larger than Freeport. Freeport fits into Grand Bahama 3 to 4 times. Singapore fits into Grand Bahama 3 or 4 times. Singapore has 6 million people. Okay? We are more prepared than Singapore is to accommodate that amount of people, geolocation, digital infrastructure, a whole lot of things. Here's what happens. By developing the outer islands, don't let them say that we do not have the resources, because they've been mismanaging it and they've been giving it to you in drips and drabs. Okay? And this leadership who has been misrepresenting of what natural resources is are pushing you further down into the cave of ignorance as to what the power is. But if you develop these outer islands, the control they have over you economically will be broken, because when you go to these outer islands, as well, family islands as we call them, they do not have the economic noose of the energy, of the food, of the transport, all of those different things. Here's a problem. They control the political scene by virtue of keeping the power base, the economic base of 75% of the economy on New Providence. And so if they control that 75% of the economy that's on New Providence, they then control the country. Like some leaders, previous leaders said, I don't care who control your army, your police, or whatever. Let me control your money supply and I control your country. They control the flow of money. Here's what happens. Come to Grand Bahama, where they have none of these control. Go to Eleuthera. That's why they rather dig a canal in Eleuthera than to give you the ability to build 10,000 bed and breakfasts on Eleuthera that's owned by Bahamians. Because now you move to Eleuthera, you move to Grand Bahama, you move to these other old islands, you're also removing the political power, the votes, the constituencies out of New Providence. That's where they keep you there. That's deliberate. So don't let them say, oh, we don't have enough money, because the Aragonite is worth billions of dollars. The mangroves, you hear Mr. Brave Davis screaming they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars right now. That's as is without us doing anything. And so when we take a deliberate act to exploit what we have, we are in the billions of dollars. If we have 150 billion tons of aragonite, which happens to be CO2, where 5 billion tons a year is produced every year in the Bahamas, then guess what? That is carbon credits that's being produced. If carbon credits, listen to this carefully, is being sold for $60 a ton, the ocean credits, and you're producing 1 billion of carbon credits in the Bahamas a year, then you just produce $60 billion. What is your national budget? Let's pretend that we can only do a few 100 million carbon credits, right? Times that by the $50 to $60, that going most likely be the standard. Then you have met your ability to build out for everywhere in the Bahamas, build the infrastructure to any island individuals want to have. Connectivity through airlines, through boat, through fast ferries, whatever. You've been lied to, and you've adopted the lies because you've adopted tribalism. And when people like C. Allen Johnson, Michelle Malcolm, and others speak, you're told they're talking garbage. But you like free, shiny stuff. Bahamians are the only people in the Bahamas who will step over $1 to pick up a dime because it's shiny. Okay? And that's exactly what these leaders who talk to you about these shiny stuff about money coming to you without doing anything. If each one of you get $100,000 in this country, who's going to open the food store? Who's going to open the thing? You give it away your country because you just took your entire workforce away. The proper thing to do is use these natural resources in their proper constitution to cost you a better quality of life. Would you like electricity to be 2 cents? Would you like education, world-class education, to be free with people around the world who is fighting to get in? Would you like for the food prices to go down? Would you like to have interest-free mortgages? It's about building a quality of life before giving you money. If I give you $1 million and gas is now $1,000 a gallon, you're still broke at $1 million. You want a quality of life. So if you're following a leader and they're giving you these fantasies because they like to plead to go in your ignorance that you don't have to do anything. Technically, you don't. You have to manage. But there's one thing that requires for you to do anything. You have to think. And they want you to suspend thought and follow me. Okay?
Let me do the thinking for you.
Yes, and I can tell you, 99.9% of the people who told you they discovered these things, I will show you where they read it from over the last 20 years. Aragonite, people, before the word aragonite appeared on Google, people on Grand Bahama and around the Bahamas will tell you when I was fighting Bahama Rock and they was using the word aggregates to hide the fact that they were taking out of the country aragonite and sand. I told them what it was. 20 years, and you could speak, and Michelle, we had 2 of the people on the show who said to you, for 20 years I've been arguing with carbon credits and the mangroves and the seagrass and whatever, 20 years. So your new leader who now has learned how to use Google and play to your ignorance, that is what is prohibiting the Bahamas from growing. What you need is real information to be able to execute. If your leadership is afraid to be tested, then guess what? I'm talking about F&M and PLPs and DNA and Coalition of Independence. Don't let them hide behind their titles that they don't have time, because they had plenty of time to knock on your doors. We are in an economic hurricane, worse than Dorian. And we can get out of this by collectively coming together. All of us don't have to drive the bus, but I can assure you, in the Bahamas and in the diaspora, we have the competence to reboot, rebuild, and re-revolutionize this entire country. We just have to reimagine it. There's nothing new under the sun. It's just a matter of reapplication. Innovation is even applying old ideas to new problems.
Well, so, we are calling the show "What's Now, What's New, and What's Next," and I want to spend at least the last portion of the show talking about what's new and what's next. Let me just read a couple of comments first. Stanron says, was trying to make that point with the minimum wage increase. It does not matter if it drives the cost of living up. Let's see.
That person is correct because, again, we should be trying to drive electricity down. That's a car payment, house payment, whatever payment. We should be trying to drive the price of food down. So living wage, minimum wage increase without strategy to normalize the cost of living is pure garbage.
But here's the thing. I know that not everybody's going to be a business owner. I get it. You know, not everybody has the capacity to do that. But there are a lot of people who do have the capacity to do it, but just don't have the opportunity. And our educational system does not prepare. Our educational system is not designed to encourage that kind of thought. Your education is the system says to you, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a degree, get a good job, work for 40 years, get a gold watch. Well, these young people nowadays ain't working for no 40 years, so forget that model. That's my generation model, right? Because these young people nowadays, listen, they out, right? But there's nothing in the system that encourages you to think beyond employee to employer. How do you create something that you are now offering jobs to other people, as opposed to every year after graduation, thousands of kids coming out of school looking for the same handful of jobs that are available, and many of them with the knowledge that if they just took the time to think, they could create opportunities. These kids nowadays are whizzes when it comes to technology and all that kind of thing. So why aren't we encouraging more of innovation to think how you can create opportunities, not just for yourself, but for those around you who may not be able to start a business?
Let me ask you something, Michelle. Do you know why your mom never taught you Italian or your father never taught you German?
She didn't know it.
There you go. We keep electing leadership that doesn't know what it takes to build these ecosystems. An ecosystem is just like a farmer preparing the field before he plants the seeds. Our youth, our children is the seeds. They do not know how to create the environment that is necessary to plant these seeds. Legislation, policies, and processes. So when people like me tell people what these people utter is pure garbage, these are not processes. These are not the correct legislation. These are not the correct policies. They say, I hate the PLP. Oh, he hating on the PLP, hating on the FNM. Well, according to you guys, we already had 2 FNM administration, 2 PLP administration, and I hate them both. Did you ever stop to think that I love you more? And so essentially, what we have to do now is that the world is no longer going to wait on us. What we need is digital mindset rather than digitized mindset.
What's the difference? Explain the difference.
Digitize is just simply saying how you're going to make things digital. A digital mindset is an immersive living it. I understand. As a male, I cannot fathom what it is to think and experience as a female the issues that a woman has with her body and everything else, breasts and hips and menstrual cycle and cramps and all these different things. And so I would be a digitized mindset in trying to describe that. You that's living it, experiencing it, that can talk about the intimacy, the nuances about it will be the digital mindset. So we need individuals that doesn't talk about things, that actually experience it, that knows it, and knows the intimacies to develop it. We have been creating time bandits. The average person can go around this country and tell you what they do every single week as a routine. Go to work, get paid on Friday, party, suit the pay, and drink some alcohol, get sad again Monday. Go to church, it's like we don't understand that we have allowed ourselves to become time bandits, time machines, as opposed to actually managing time. Time is now managing us. We have the ability to shape time. We have the ability to shape the Bahamas by embracing these same economic things they talk about, but demanding, starting from today, that when Mr. Brave Davis talked about the ocean economy, that he explain it to you, or have Mr. Latre Ramming or Mr. Clint Watson explain it through their process exactly what it is, how it's going to be implemented, and the process for which you can participate individually and collectively. When they talk about, when Ginger Moxie talk about, oh, the Orange economy, Grand Bahama going to be the entertainment capital of the world. How? Tell me how. Tell me when. Tell me the processes. Okay? I hear you said for 9 months. Stop talking and start doing. Because the house is on fire. The people are in needs. So what I'm simply saying is we don't need to reinvent anything. The processes is there. The Bahamas, everything we need, everything the world needs is in the Bahamas today. The digital infrastructure. The world, it says, we got an existential threat for our very existence, the Bahamas itself, as well as the world, for global warming and for climate change. The Bahamas happens to be the reservoir or deposit of that information from our blue holes. All of the previous global warming, the history is in our mind, is in our blue holes, For the last ice age melt, the history is in our blue holes. They don't tell you that. So I'm simply saying is that, and see, notice your so-called resources, natural resource leaders can't tell you really where the resources is beside Aragonite.
Did I lose you,
Then
Ciara?
he has something else. Do you know that even carbon, the carbon that the
No, I
carbon
thought I
that they're
lost you
now
there for a
burning,
second.
right? That's called
I don't know if you're having
I don't know.
are you having issues with your internet connection because you're sort of freezing?
No, I am frozen, so I
Okay, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay, well, at least you can hear me. What I'm simply saying is I forget the type of carbon it is, but we should not be tearing down our natural pines. We should be tearing down those pine, the invasive pines, and be making carbon out of it, but not exporting it. I forget, it's a type of carbon that you produce. But what that carbon does is you incorporate it as part of our farming process. But when you make coal, you actually capture 100 years of carbon credits and put it in there. So how are we cutting down these casarina trees? Those are carbon credits right now. If you understand what they are. The problem is our leadership, nor the people, the talking heads, don't understand the real aspect of the 102 things that I've documented that is part of our natural resources. And so what you have is the loudest noisemakers get to move your focus towards what is the most popular thing, not the most prudent thing. You don't export aragonite. You get paid for leaving it in the ground. You don't dig for oil or drill for oil. You get paid for leaving it in the ground. You get paid for maintaining your mangroves. You get paid for managing your fisheries. You get paid for these different things. We just have leadership that love to talk. I tell you, again, I say to you, if Russia invade the Bahamas, let's pray that talk is their weapon so we can defeat them.
Here's the thing. I think where all of this begins, and no pun intended, we need a paradigm shift.
Absolutely.
Not just from our leadership, but from every child in the primary school system, all the way up through university, every teacher, we need to think differently. We have a generation of young people. I had a conversation with a young lady the other day. I won't go into the circumstances of what, but she said something and I was like, oh my God. This is the mindset we're dealing with. And she was talking about how hard it is to get paid under certain circumstances. And this is why she actually said this. She said, this is why some young people rather sell drugs or prostitute, because at least they'll get their money.
But see, she don't have
And
problem.
I'm thinking,
Yes.
the mindset is the problem.
And here's the opportunity. Whatever she had to get paid, she had the opportunity to come up with a resolution, digitize it. That's an opportunity. That's how PayPal was started, all these other different things. But when you talk about education, we have a crisis in our hand for the three people. Remember now, in 2020, in Dorian, and that's 20, for the impact of Dorian put us in 2020. That's the graduating class. 2021, 2022 did not meet the requirements, not just for those graduating class, going all the way back to preschool. So we have a whole generation of people from a defective system that is damaged, that we're going to try to make believe that they're going to progress. We have opportunity to reset, reboot, restart by creating an environment right now for this new Bahamas.
I want to read a comment, and then I could let you wrap up by responding to this comment. Trying to get the Jason, what are you saying? Because right now my screen is what are you saying? What are you saying? Tell me what you're saying. What? No, I mean what? Okay, there's a comment on the screen now. Okay, all right, never mind. All right, it's back up. Okay. Where did it go? There was a comment. I'm trying to find it now. My screen was frozen there for a minute. Oh man, I lost that comment. I'm not sure where it went. I lost it. Okay, here it is. It says, society is made up of a variety of characteristics. We can't keep forcing individuals off their path to fit them in a system that works for a selected few. Let this be your wrap up. How do you respond to that?
That person is absolutely correct. This is why in this new dispensation of this new global economy, you get to be you. If you notice, the WTO has died. Everything that these people are trying to rebuild, the chains around you, when technology and digitization has freed you from the chains that you have to willingly now reattach to yourself. In all of these economic models, which is just limited to the Bahamas that we have chosen, is there. But you are now in a knowledge environment. And what is knowledge? Information, when properly comprehended, is knowledge. Wisdom is the proper execution of knowledge. And so I'm simply saying is seek to comprehend the information so that you could now say, I have knowledge in that area. Seek those who knows how to guide you, even if it's only from an informational standpoint. Do not listen to the noise in the marketplace of these wannabe leaders who begin to feign their solutions to the past when you should be building the future. Look for leadership that knows the future, knows how to build it, and they're able to direct you to the resources locally and internationally that is necessary for build. You don't need money. Thought multiplies money. Those people with money is waiting for your ideas to put with their money to multiply it. So that's all you have to do. Develop your ideas, and let's continue this conversation. Go find some finances for this show. Call up when you go to the store to buy a shoe address. Tell them to please advertise. And for those of you in Grand Bahama who can hear us here on 99.5, please do the same thing. So you could make me a permanent cast.
We're trying to elevate discussion. I mean, talk shows are a dime a dozen.
And if you follow leader, tell your leader, come talk C. Allen and Michelle down.
Good luck with that. C. Allen, it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Appreciate you. All right, that's my time, y'all. Got to get out of here. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, you know the drill. Every Friday, we do an open line show. Boy, have we got a lot to talk about. I hope to hear from you tomorrow. All right, because you will be my co-host. Thanks so much for tuning in this afternoon. Have a good one and be safe.